Hello guys, I'm Lee and welcome back to Barham Engines. This is the Cosworth, the 205, the one off the engine where the guy unfortunately paid a bit too much probably for what he's got. But anyway, this is the 205 block that he's going to be selling. You can see I bought it here, it's cleaned up nicely at 0.5. We've given it a face. It actually took about 7 thou to get it clean. Just round this one edge here, it hadn't cleaned, where it was obviously, whether it was a bit of debt in the past or someone had run a sander over, something like that. But anyway, it's done. We're just going to finish hone this. We're going to give it a good pressure wash, and that thing is ready to be sold then. So, as I said, if any of you guys want a 205 block, we have one sitting here all ready to go. Secondly, we've had this delivered in the post by a subscriber. Thank you very much, sir. I think this is from a garage. It's another TD5 exhaust manifold, bent like a banana. This has been on here for about 2 hours. You see there, I took 50 thou off. This should clean out 50 thou. So 50 thou is 1¼ mil for all you metric heads out there. And as usual, it's sort of gone down on one end more than the rest. But what I tend to do is just average it up. If we're down, say, almost a millimetre on this one end, I just sort of average it out so it's not going to be too far out on the end. You know, down here, you don't want that at too much of an angle. So, yeah, 50 thou. This one should clean. Sorry, John's just doing some, fitting some valve guide sleeves, making a right racket. So yeah, hopefully that cleans and that's that job done. And then I have got another exhaust manifold to do in car care over the road. So, the 205 block over there, this is the crankshaft out of it. And although someone has not properly polished it, they've just run a bit of emery cloth over it, or a bit of wet and dry. It doesn't look too bad. I haven't measured it, but we have got some corrosion marks in here, so I do think it's going to need I think it's going to need grinding on the mains and the big ends. I'm hoping it's at standard. Just going to measure that and yeah, get this ground. Like I said to you before, even if they are standard, these Cosworths, and they measure right, we always stick them up and clock them, because you sometimes find that they can sort of bend, so which means that the centre main will be running out compared to the M2. So even if it all measures fine, we do check that, and we'd rather just grind it and make sure it's true and get a decent finish on there really, and make sure it's within size. So this is the manifold for car care. It is now 12:15 and the thing is still on the mill. So this one was fairly bent. This is probably about 2 mil bent, this thing. Whether it's something to do with the design, you sometimes find, because it's fairly bulky in the middle and you've got these sort of ears, if you like, that branch off, although it's braced here, that can sometimes make it worse. So yeah, this looks like it's going to be the final cut, and we can get that off the machine and get it back to them. So there's John and Paul, just taking the V6 Alpha back round to Alpha Agassi. That is one that they dropped round here. We've got to apparently add head gaskets, but we've got to take the cylinder heads off it just to check, because apparently it had been pressurising again, but not one we did. But to be honest, it's been sitting here for 2 weeks, and we said to Stuart, look, if you've got time, you may as well take the heads off it, and we'll come over and have a look at it. And just gives us a bit more space down on the floor. In the meantime, we have just had another Cosworth turn up. So this is a complete engine with the turbo on and the manifold, etc., and also another short engine. And I think the idea is I think it's a suspected cracked block on that, or a cracked liner or something, but basically we've got to make a good engine out of the two. So that is going to go on an engine stand soon. This one here, the one with the broken camshaft, sorry, we're going to crack on and strip that next week. We haven't even been able to get anywhere close to that yet. We have got news on the Cosworth engine that we stripped, did the 205 block. We've now bored and faced the one that's for sale. See, that's got a lovely fresh bore and face on it. So come on guys, come and snap a bargain up there. It's a really nice block now on a first oversize. But we have got good news on this. The guy has decided to sort of call it quits. We're going to use the cylinder head because it's a really good head, so we're going to get that ported. He has been in touch with Romain Opliger from Opliger Motorsports over in Europe, and apparently he has got a really good linered and studded block with the oil jets in it. I think he wants something like 3,900 euros or something for that, which, to be honest with you, when you convert it back into pounds, isn't too bad. I mean, you're looking at a couple of grand now for a half decent 200 block. Then we've got to stick the ductile iron liners in it and stud it, so it sort of swings and roundabouts. But so I said, really, if it's done, I mean, you could be months sort of hunting for a half decent 200 block. And to be honest, Romain is probably top of my list on another Cosy guy that I would trust apart from myself. If you have a look on YouTube and that, he produces some real trick Cosworth stuff. Been in the game longer than I have. Really knowledgeable guy. So I've been in talks with him today. We're going to hopefully get this block off him. We're going to go for a dry sump setup, maybe trick manifolds and cams and all the rest of it. And yeah, we've got something real special coming with that. I think we're going to go for even more power. So yeah, look out on that. Cannot wait. So in the meantime, I'm going to crack on with this job, and we've got 4 sets of Cosworth con rods to crack on with. We've got one set here from Autodynamics. Autodynamics from Newton Abbot. They came and picked their engine up yesterday for a customer that's going to Australia, I believe. And he dropped off this set of rods. Basically, it's in for a set of small end bushes, so that's what we're going to fit. These 3 here are from PJ Motorsport in Wolverhampton. So we're going to, I think we've got a 2 sets of small ends to go in. This is a set of stock which we've got to just check. So these are Autodynamics rods. As you can see, I've fitted the small ends already. Now, just a little tip of what I do with these. When you get these new small end bushes for the Cosworths, there's about 25 thou difference between the pin and the inside of the new small end bush. What I mean by that is the small end bush is about 25 thou smaller than the diameter of the new pin. So what I do, because this is our little Delapina home that we use for doing the small ends. You can see it's basically, you've got different size homes and with a stone in. So you basically pick see down there, we've got a bunch of them. You pick the size that's almost a decent fit for that, probably give or take about a mil or 2, and then you put the stone in, and you use this to wind the stone in and out, and basically the body acts as a guide, and the single stone when it spins is what does the cutting. So because we're honing it out 25 thou, bearing in mind it's going to end up about 27, 28 thou by the time you push the bush in and it closes up. So it takes forever to hone. So what I do, little tip, is I stick the small end bush in the lathe and turn it out until there's about 5 thou left in there. So I take about half a mil out. Now, I know a lot of you will say, oh God, you have to clamp it in the 3-jaw chuck and that's going to close the bush up, and that's why I leave sort of 5 or 6 thou in there. So yes, when you push it in, it is a bit untrue, as in it's not perfectly round, but then to be honest, these bushes are all a bit sort of vague anyway. They've got a split down the side, as you can see there, and this is one that I have took. This is before I've honed it. See, I've honed the other 3, but as you can see, before I've even honed it, bearing in mind I've took 20 thou out of this, you see there's an area there that it hasn't even touched when I've turned it, and that is basically how far out these bushes are from standard. So what you find is when you start honing them, you can feel it vibrating where it's just really uneven in here and not a perfect circle. So yeah, leave 5 thou in, and that gives plenty to sort of true up and it just takes a lot less time to hone. So I'll show you how to use this. What we do is, because I've just honed the last one, I back this off about 2 turns, make sure the stone's pushed down in the guide. You've got a support here, and that stops because the stone turns that way, this stops the rod from spinning around in your hand. It just sort of rests on there. So basically put the rod on. You've got a foot operated belt driven sort of clutch at the back there, and this, depending on how far you press it, is how fast it will go. Okay, so you press it down a little bit and the belt slips on the clutch there and just sort of goes around at whatever speed you want it to, really. So what we do is we just started turn the wheel until it's starting to get a bit of resistance, and that means it's going to start to put a cut on there. So we just move it backwards and forwards evenly up the stone, and that stops the stone from wearing unevenly. And then when you feel it going a bit slack, I just put another half a turn on at a time. So bearing in mind we backed it off 2 turns, we're up now 1 turn. Keep going, and then we do another half a turn. I'm trying to do this one-handed whilst holding the camera. And then before we put the last half a turn on, what we do is we turn the rod over just to assure that it is cutting evenly. And then we go up another half a turn, and we should be getting somewhere near it now. So what we do then is we just check that it is honed completely even, which it has, and then we try the new pin in. And you can tell when it just starts to feel a little bit tight in there, that means that we're almost getting somewhere. So what I do is I just, each time I try it, each time I hone it, I just turn the rod around and make sure that we're getting it even. So, see, that's just started to go in there, although it is a bit tight. No, that is absolutely fine. So what you want, really, what you're looking for, is you're looking for it to slide in fairly decently, not very tight, but it doesn't want to fall out under its own weight. So that there, I would say, is absolutely perfect. So yeah, did a pretty good job there with one hand, to be fair. And you can see in there it's cleaned all the way around, and that's how we hone small ends. Well, thanks ever so much for watching, guys. So the Cosworth, although it's a bit of a sour tale, the customer seems to be sort of okay about it. He's making positive. We're going to use the bits that we can out of it, and that is going to be an awesome spec when it's done. Yeah, look out for that. Going to be vlogging that as we go along. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, people. Have a lovely weekend, and until Monday, take care. Subscribe if you haven't, comment down below, and we'll see you in another one. Cheers, guys.